go ahead and give this a whirl of routing the wiring harness. Yeah, that's just going to be that. As far as the wiring harness, these are configured to match your swap. You can get one with all OEM sensors. You can get one with other stuff. Mine has different stuff on it than OEM sensors and all that jazz. So for those that's followed the build, they know exactly what my wiring harness is configured for. You know, it's kind of self-explanatory. You want to make it configured to whatever you got going on so that it can be plug and play as they, you know, designed it to be. So that's pretty much that. We'll go ahead and start routing it. They say start with the front, basically routing it under the manifold. So we'll do cam, angle sensor, route everything on this side, and going back. So for the main harness, this is how far I've gotten so far. Kind of going with the underneath the manifold, and then this part will go straight back into the car to connect the ECU. The only ones, and I'm also making use of these cord things when I can. Let's see, I don't know what the actual name of them are, but these like little clip things. Let's try to get one for you. Basically these, making use of these anywhere I can, anywhere that there's a bolt that is kind of just sitting there that the wiring harness is kind of routing over, just kind of using these to keep it straight. My example is this one over the back, works like a charm. But as far as the ones that got coming over from that side, of course the ignition coil pack harness is going to go over the top, and then there's a ground for that, which I got grounded to this bolt, but it gives you ample room to find another ground. Outside of that, the only ones I got is boost control solenoid, and they're all labeled too, just so you can see. Let's get that. There we go. Boost control solenoid. This, I plan on mounting the boost controller on the side where the wastegates are, so that stays over here. This one is reverse for the shift transmission. This one is the map sensor. This one is actually going to be mounted on that side, so I'm going to put that back over there. And then the last one is one that I'm not using, and this is my idle air control. I'm not using that one. They didn't have an option to block it off, or, you know, to remove it or whatever. You probably would have to call and tell them, but my idle air control port is blocked off. For the Neo, you got to get an adapter because that is the idle air control valve. And as you can see, that don't look like that. So in order to get idle air control, you got to get a adapter that bolts to that, or bolts that to the bottom of the manifold like a normal rb25 style, and then run it. And it just looks bulky. Plus on top of that, I have a link ECU. I don't really need idle air control valve. I'm good. Plus I can also adjust the throttle. So blocked it off, not looking back. So this cord won't be used. I think that's the only one that's not going to be used. And that's all that I got coming to this side. Everything else is on that side. So I have ID 110s. These are OEM. And the only reason I did that is because I'm going to upgrade injectors down the line. So it didn't make sense to get ID 110 for the harness if I was going to have to send it back just to get changed. They make jumper harnesses that go from OEM to ID 110s. I'm going to buy those, and that'll connect all the injectors. These two go to ground. I'm planning on grounding them to this engine mount / lift thing, preferably down there, but I'd have to make the holes bigger, so we're going to see about that. They're going to go either up top like that or to the bottom two bolts that go into the head. You got the VCT going in right there, coolant temp, and then the bottom one as well. I started with the cam angle sensor. As for that, this is not connected yet because the intake air temperature sensor is going to be inside the intercooler piping, roughly around right here. I have the Haltech sensor over there for it. I just need to make a intercooler pipe that has the bung for it. You got the alternator one going in here, and you can kind of see, so I got it all jumbled up right now. I'm gonna neaten it out a little bit, but got the alternator coming here. This is for the throttle cable. So for the TPS, if you remember from my video of installing the manifold, there's 2 TPS sensors. I have them zip tied back here. There's 2 TPS sensors. For the Neo, there's one. For the rb25, there's a different style. This TPS has 2 plugs on it. It specifically states in their instructions that the harness is only going to use 1. So it's going to come with 2 pigtails. This is going to have 2 plugs. Only 1 or only 2 out of that 4 can mate together. And whatever 2 plug into each other, that's the one that you run. The other 2 you won't use, or you won't need to use. So that was something that confused me for a little bit. I have to go back and read the instructions because I'm like, okay, I got another TPS unplugged and the other one doesn't fit. So that was that. Next thing on it is, so TPS is this one, and it's one up here. Then you have your 2 knock sensors, one back here, one right there. That plugs in fine. I think that's what this one is. This actually bridges off to the 2 knock sensors, sorry. Next thing is the oil. What's this? Oil pressure sensor, OEM oil pressure sensor. It has a boot on it. Plug that up. Mine's with the Greddy sandwich plate. They came with one of these that was already tapped for the OEM size, so I fit that one in there. There is, what I noticed, there is no plug or no pigtail or anything like that for the factory oil temperature sensor. And I was planning on taking this spare blank one, drilling and tapping for that so that I could put the plug on, but there's no plug on the harness for it. So I think that's specifically for your gauges. So if that's specifically for gauges, then I'll probably just find one that uses a sensor that matches the ones that you can buy already tapped. But that's that. Moving on, you got your starter. So you're gonna have 1 cable. Like I said, this stuff is all labeled. So you got 1 cable for the starter, and then you got, or starter B plus, and then you got this one starter signal that goes there. This is the map sensor. I'll put this back here so I don't get it confused again. And that pretty much takes care of the whole main harness. This stuff is gonna go into the vehicle. This one goes to the ECU, of course. This is a relay, doesn't go anywhere. You could just mount that somewhere. This, I believe this may go to one of these goes to your Haltech, to my Haltech sensor. So when I got it, CDO9 transmissions do not have a vehicle speed sensor, just so that you guys know. And they give you the option of ordering or including a Haltech GPS speed sensor. I did that, so one of those plugs is for that Haltech sensor. I just can't find it right now. I just found it right now. So it looks like it's the smaller one. So it looks like it's gonna plug into this one, and then that'll be that. So there's that. So you got ECU, GPS speed sensor, relay. I'm not too sure what this one goes into. This might plug into something in the chassis, and that's pretty much the main harness for you. So the next thing is you have 2 more things over here. This is the chassis harness, dedicated chassis harness. This goes to all of your chassis stuff. So this one isn't going to touch anything in the engine, but it is going to connect to stuff inside the car. and I think that's it. It connects, I know it connects to the stuff inside the car. I think one of these, there it is. So I think this one plugs into this, maybe, I'm not sure. I'll know for sure in a little bit though. Nothing crazy with that. This one is just a B plus transfer. This goes from alternator to starter, so you can have that B plus going over there. The next thing I'd say, ground. I kept the OEM ground, which is right there. So underneath that bolt, there is no paint. It's completely shaved. I wire wheeled it off. So I'm gonna give, this is gonna be my negative going straight to the battery. So you guys got to remember about that. I'm trying to see what else as far as the routing that I can give you right now. I think that's about it. I'm not too sure what this sensor is. There's no plug for it, so I guess it wasn't determined. If you have a patch, the patches are very self-explanatory. You just plug one in to the ECU side and then plug the other in into the ECU. So it'll pretty much go like this, and then plug the ECU into that. Patches are just for people that want to make it easier to tap into the inputs to the ECU for gauges and stuff. You know, if you don't have a patch like that, then you got to tap into this type of wiring and stuff like that to get, you know, whatever, see whatever it is that your ECU is seeing. If you want to use that on a gauge, you got to cut and splice those wires, and that's not fun. So that's what the patch harness is for, is to help it make it easy for when I run gauges in the future and stuff like that. But that's pretty much it. All right, so for the How Touch, if you got that option, this is the module that converts the signal to an input for the ECU. Oh, that is what plugs in to this. Boom. So wiring specialties, they add this pigtail for you so that you can have that. And then the rest of this, so they add the pigtail and they give you the actual product. So this is the pigtail that Haltech gives you when you buy the GPS sensor that plugs into that. But since you got it from Wiring Specialties, you ain't got to worry about doing this part. Throw it away. This is the actual GPS signal pickup thing that goes to that sensor that I just showed you. So the only thing with this is you want this module to be in clear view of the sun or sunlight or whatever. And then this is the cord that goes to that sensor. So this is more than likely going to be on the dash somewhere. And then you're going to run that cord all the way down to where your ECU is and into here. And now you got GPS, or now you got a speed signal that works to your car. So now you can know how fast you're going. RB swaps, very common for RB swaps to 240s is very common for the speedo and the RPM gauge to not be calibrated correctly. So I know when I had my RB20, the RPM gauge would go nuts whenever I revved the engine. It's just not calibrated. And then my speeds, I didn't have a speed sensor in the RB20 trans, so I never knew how fast I was going. But that's pretty much that for this section. As far as the other stuff, so the boost controller, I'm not sure what this is. I think this is well, it's not labeled, so I'm not sure what this is at all, to be honest. But it's just, I don't know. If I have I'm gonna leave this here, so that if I have a problem, I'll know that that's what it is. The only thing I could think of would be for this, but it doesn't fit that. Yeah, I thought it might have been for the temp sensor, but it doesn't fit it. So that's that. What was I talking about? Oh, for the boost controller, So they give you these 2 wires. There's no pigtail for that. You just wire your boost controller into it. I have a Link 4-port boost controller, so I would be directly wiring these 2 wires to those 2 wires, and that's how you take care of that. I just gotta find a mount for it. Which one says it's that. Intake air temperature sensor is also a Haltech. Boom. So that's the intake air temperature sensor that I got from Haltech. This is what I need to get welded, or I need a bung so that I can weld a port. Oh my god. I need to weld a bung to an intake pipe so that I can thread this in and connect it. But this is the sensor that connects to the front right here. I had it configured for that one. They can configure it to whatever intake air temperature sensor you get, but that one's pretty much going to go right here, and whatever intake pipe I get right there. So that takes care of that. The manifold pressure sensor, where are you at? There you go. This one I don't have yet, but the map sensor that I'm going to be going with is going to be a Link map sensor, so I had them configure it for a Link map sensor. I just got to buy the actual map sensor, but that one is going to be mounted probably somewhere over there on that side of the car. You're going to have this plug, and then you're also going to have a vacuum line coming off of that, so that's where that goes. And that takes care of all these plugs. So part 2, or the other half of this video, however I decide to do it, if I just want to post the first half or all together. Part 2 or the other half will be when this is in there and we're doing all the chassis connections and stuff like that. Alright, so back here on the inside, this is a little while after the last clip, like by I think 1 or 2 weeks, probably, yeah, 2 weeks actually. So I just did my battery relocation again, made it clean. Now I have 2 actual lines that go from battery to the engine and stuff without it being connected to any other cables like the sketchy stuff that I had going on. So since I'm already in here, I was like, I might as well connect the inside of the wiring harness. So this part obviously goes to your ECU. Depending on your setup, I'm gonna put the patch on first. That'll connect to here like so, and then that'll connect to the ECU. It's like, think of it as like an extension for your ECU, but that is pretty self-explanatory. This is as far as I know, this is the chassis harness. There you go. So what you got here is this one, I believe, connects to this cable like so. Pop that on there, and then you can kind of clamp it down. Boom, now you got your chassis connection harness going. So you got these 3 plugs. I know based off of previous experience, these are not labeled, but off of previous experience, I know one of these is starter signal, one of these I think is like the wipers, and another one I'm not 100% sure. No, these are the 2 starter ones. So these 2 go over here. And for those of you that don't know, I did a fuse box relocation. So my fuse box is actually in here. Videos are on that on the channel. If anybody wants to know how it's done and stuff like that. But yeah, yep, that's exactly what I thought. So these are going to be your starter signal and power distribution cables right here. If I can get my, it's pretty hard to do in one hand. There we go. Yep, those are the 2, because I did label these at one point, but they're not labeled anymore. But off of what I remember, that's what those are. So that's those 2, and then these I'm not 100% sure. I know this one goes into here for your chassis connections. Mine's is broken, but that's where that one goes. And you know, Wiring Specialties is pretty good about making it so that things are where they're supposed to be. So if this goes over there, that'll put this harness over there. This one's the one for the wiper, yeah, now that I remember. So this one would go back out, plug into the wiper. I'm not too sure about those two, but I'll come back to it when I figure it out. All right, so I did figure out that the white one that's not in this group does go to the washer motor, windshield washer motors. I don't know where these go. I looked at the manual for one of them. Is supposed to be a Nissan console. Another one says chassis interface, but neither one of those look like these plugs for that harness. So there's that. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, I already plugged the windshield washer one up, and I'm gonna try to route this back to being plugged over there, and pretty much call it with this install on. No, I'm not gonna call it. Call it with routing the harness. I still got to put the GPS sensor for the Haltech, since I got a CD09. So I'll be doing that next after I get this situated. All right, so I got the patch harness in. That is very easy to install. 10mm on that. ECU in, same thing as the patch harness. I did figure out what one of these plugs is. The black one goes into whatever type of relay box this is. I have no idea what this is or what it goes to, but if you guys do know, that's what the black one goes to. Still don't know what this one is. This one may be the Nissan console plug, but that is what it is. And then I'm kind of just trying to figure out, I'm gonna route this stuff. I'm gonna tuck it because, I mean, for now, I'm gonna leave it like this. It's organized spaghetti. And I'm gonna leave it like this until I know that the vehicle is starting and running by itself fine. Then I'll go ahead and, you know, push this stuff to the side, push that stuff to the side, mount the harness, because, you know, if I have a passenger here and they just go feet crazy, my car is gonna shut off and it ain't, man. So that's that. Next thing is GPS Haltech sensor. So Wiring Specialties does a good job at everything when it comes to wiring. That's why they have that reputation. They already wire in the plug as an input to your ECU, so you ain't got to worry about none of that. The only thing you got to worry about is mounting this thing. So this is the sensor, this is the input module, this is the plug that goes directly there. There's a CAN, or what is it called, LED CAN line, CAN communication, I'm not sure, the one that I don't know. There's a line, a communication line right here that goes, communication line that goes from this GPS sensor down into that one, just screws on. This is what you want to mount in your window or somewhere that is going to be clear access to the actual sensor. I believe this is, oh, they already wired this one in. Okay, so this is going to be your wideband O2 sensor input. I was wondering where that was because I am going to be having an AEM wideband O2, so you hardwire that into this line. So this is just plug and play then, honestly. So what I'll do is, and I'm not gonna mount this yet until I know how I'm gonna route all this stuff, but as far as the plug, just connect that up, boom, you're good to go on that. This, I'm gonna mount this up here just so I can, you know, it makes the most sense, but as far as connecting that, it's just screwing this thing on. you get the idea. And then having that as a clear signal, and now you have speed, GPS speed. So if you go into a tunnel or something like that, it may go out on you, but outside of that, you're good. So that takes care of this part, and that's pretty much the whole install for the wiring harness. Since I didn't show in the past videos the LS coil packs, video coming on this soon, but these are the LS coil packs, and as you can see, the harness just goes right into them. This is coil 1, and it's labeled, if you can see it, coil 1. So they are good to go. Make sure you pick the right option for them, because there's two options for LQ9 coils. You have coil on plug, and then you have coils that are just in the valley. It's only going to change the different length of wire that you have when they relocate it, but it should be good. I think this is coil 2, coil 3, boom. So yeah, but that's pretty much that. Nothing really else to wire or show wiring wise. Boost control, I think I went over this, I'm not 100% sure, but boost control, they just give you the wires for it, and then this is my control solenoid. You would just connect those wires and it do its thing. I do have my map sensor now, my link map sensor. That is what connects to, where are you? I had you earlier. That's what connects to this one. And I'm probably gonna mount that like over here somewhere, run that to vacuum, and that's pretty much that. So I'll leave that at I'll leave it at that for this video. Pretty sure I already explained about the why I didn't get the direct plug on for the cables, for the injectors. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, follow the build. We're getting real close, getting to the point where I'm doing things on the car that's not video worthy, like connecting fuel lines and soon connecting vacuum lines and stuff like that. And I'm more of a how-to channel, I'm not that much of a vlog channel. So I'd say we probably got a couple more videos before it's just first start, while I'm doing the little miscellaneous connections. Till then, like, comment, subscribe, follow the build.